Hi, everyone, and welcome to the very, very first episode of Streamer Strategies. Hi, Zen Guinea Pig. Hi, Mr. Weird J Fry Zofar. Yo, hello, welcome. Lelouch, hello, Nico, Jazz, The Fink. Oh my God, I see so many amazing people in chat. Thank you for joining us today. So, I'm really super excited to bring you this new show that we just started. This is the first episode. I have some really amazing guests. It's called Streamer Strategies, and we will be focusing on creative monetization. I think that the people who are going to be on today's show are absolutely gifted and will give you a masterclass and a look into their world on how they creatively monetize. So without further ado, let me bring all my guests on. Welcome, everybody. Hello. How's it going?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here.
Great to be here.
Oh man. Okay. So who do
So
I have
excited.
today? I know. I'm like so hyped. I know. I'm like,
ah.
like no matter how many times I do this, like every single time I'm like, oh my God, I'm still shaking. But that's okay. I'm surrounded by amazing people like Celina, Duke Donuts, and Will Shand. So we're going to go around the room and have everybody introduce themselves, and we're going to show you a little taste of why everybody here will give you some awesome strategies on creative monetization. So, Celina, can you go first? Tell everybody who you are, your pronouns, and what you do on Twitch.
Thank you, Ash. First of all, I really appreciate the opportunity. My name is Celina, twitch.tv/Celina. My pronouns are she, her, and I love bringing people together. I'm a variety streamer. You'll mostly see me playing games on my channel, but I've also done things, like hiking and cooking and crafting. And I'm best known for my creative alerts, my dry, sarcastic sense of humor, and the unpredictability of my streams. So yeah, thank you.
I have definitely actually, you know how I found out about Celina? Will Shan actually rated Celina, and that was the first time how I met Celina. And
Wow.
yeah, ever since then, I was like, this is like one of the most fun places to be. And chat, I want to show you why this is one of the most fun places to be. So I'm going to show a clip, and then chat, let me know if there's any audio issues with the clip, because this is like a first time I'm doing something like this. So here we go. Let me show this clip, and there it is.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows.
This is like absolutely incredible.
Oh, there we go.
Celina, what is going on here?
Yeah, I think my face says it all, Ash, just
Yeah. Was that a foot?
yes, that's my foot, yes. That is true. Yes.
Just an average Celina day. Oh my God. That is it's so tell us a little bit about that clip and what exactly is going on in there.
Oh gosh. Well, for starters, that was my foot. Yes. There's a lot of different ways to interact with my stream, whether it's bit alerts or channel point redemptions or sub alerts, or different ways I engage the community through chat. But yeah, that was a display, a small display of some of my alerts, and I think the big thing is I don't have any cooldowns. So they can just all happen at once, and chat loves to tell a story with my alerts, so it's always something different every time. Yeah.
Wow.
And I do a lot of themed alerts too, like based on the game that I'm playing or like the season that it is or something. So there's like a wide range, a mix of stuff that you'll see maybe carry over from like one game to the next, or like one season to the next, or something like that. And altogether, it makes something really special and fun every time.
That's wow. My mind is blown. Just at the fact of the no cooldowns, that's brave. That's brave.
Yes, indeed, yes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us today. I'm so excited to have you on. I'm so excited to learn from you today. I'm going to move on to Duke. Duke, tell us about your channel. Give us your pronouns and let us know what you do on Twitch.
Sure. I'm Duke Donuts. He, him, at twitch.tv/Duke Donuts. Also YouTube/Duke Donuts. I mostly play retro games. I love video games, honestly. Like that's. I mean, you can see here, right? Like, there's all that stuff.
A little bit.
I love games. I love primarily stream retro games, but I like all kinds of games. I like digging into kind of both the business and technical aspects of streaming and of entertainment and that kind of stuff. One of the big things that I've done is, with a great deal of help from my community, I've written a lot of the software that runs the stuff in the back end of my stream. So how it actually like handles decision making and what happens when an alert plays and like when a lot of that stuff gets processed, it will run through custom software and allows me to do certain things that are tough to do on a regular setup. Like, for example, Stream Elements or Streamlabs. You can't set Stream Elements or Streamlabs to let TTS overlap itself.
Yeah.
Which turns out to be a big draw, even if
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a cacophony. So
Wow. I did not know that all that stuff was custom. Now it like hanging out in your channel, now it all makes sense. The fact that you are able to do all of these really incredible things. And I will just let everyone know here, Duke actually inspired me to put this whole show together. Like we sometimes like talk and we talk strategy and stuff
I'm
like
humbled.
that. Yeah. And like Duke was talking to me. We were just talking about like Channel Point Redeems one day, and I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if we did a show where we just kind of teach broadcasters like things about like what we know and things that we have picked up along the way. So it was from that conversation that the idea for this show spawned, and the idea for the first session of this show, which was creative monetization.
A lot of this stuff, it's really, I found that compared to my own experiences that I've had as a streamer, it's been very hard to find high quality information from people out there who will tell you how to stream, who will tell you good things to know about streaming, because a lot of that boils down to people who want to promote their own brand and say, oh, do you want to learn about streaming? Follow my channel, right? And that's a big difficulty is people who are starting out finding that information. If I was on my own and not part of a pretty tightly knit retro community, I would have had trouble figuring out how to do a lot of this stuff, how to interact and how to grow my channel and all of that stuff. So
I agree. And I have learned so many things from many of the people in the retro community. So I'm super grateful for that. And I'm gonna go ahead. Speaking of like, learning from each other and having each other help us out, I'm gonna show your clip. It's gonna be.
You're gonna remember what you picked.
Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Here we go.
Cheer 100 if you know. Now you know. That's
So, the one that we picked was someone spamming rig over and over and over again. Speaking of no cooldowns, by the way.
There's Spamasum. Thank you for the 100 bits. I'm gonna give him 100 bits.
I'm gonna give him 100 bits. I'm gonna give him 100 bits. See, like,
holy shit!
Not only is this very interesting, with the how it is presented, right? Not only is it interesting with how it is presented in terms of, using that as a strategy to monetize, but the collaboration is really cool too. I love that. Yeah,
I love when there's opportunities to work between different streamers and have that kind of cross-channel memery going on. It's like I think I've been in a number of channels where people are like, "Hey, it's the 70 bits guy." I'm like, "Oh boy."
Oh boy. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with me today. And we are gonna showcase our last guest, Will Shand. Hello,
Me?
Will. Hello.
Hello. I'm Will Shand, I guess, exactly on Twitch TV.
Nice.
He, him. And I've been streaming for over 10 years now. Right now, I focus on strange and scary games like super, super, super indie things, like from the depths of Steam and itch.io, games made by one person in their parents' basement. Like, kind of the smaller and the weirder it is, the better. And I've kind of created a stream that reflects those games as well, with lots of strange alerts and chaotic ways to interact, cutaway segments, and I don't know. I kind of like the more viewers can reach into the stream and change things up, or even completely disrupt the gameplay altogether. I think that's really cool, and it makes it even more interesting for me as a streamer.
Yeah. Oh my God. I cannot tell you enough, Will, how much I love hanging out and seeing all of the unique alerts you have, because not just the fact that they are interesting and fun to watch, but they are such a great way that you showcase your talents in terms of musical ability and songwriting ability and just ability to come up with like very, as much as the games you play are like strange and interesting, your alerts are very strange and interesting. So
And
I
my
want
ability to draw like a competent elementary school student. My,
Oh my God, I love those drawings. They're so good. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at one of Will's clips.
Known as to the cause of the fire at this time.
And I
Jump
love these ones,
biscuits.
by the way, where we just have to like
At
spam
least some
in
pizza
chat and
responsible.
make something happen.
$2.25.
No news is available at this moment as to what happened to the prophet or if he's even alive.
Honk.
Many of the
We're getting in on it?
congregation's
Honk.
followers
Yeah,
have now
honk.
gathered near the compound to help with rescue attempts. Few of the survivors
man,
were moved to
this
a
is
nearby
so
hospital
good.
of St.
This is
Luke's.
so good.
Are you just trying to read the game the whole time? Like you're just
That's some good
completely
honking in the
focused, just
chat.
ignoring.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening there, right?
I don't think chat was into the story of that game very much.
Wow, I can't tell. Yeah.
So that was really, really cool. And I love the fact that it's not just like, let me press a channel point thing or let me donate bits or whatever. It's like somebody will donate bits or make something happen, and then chat also tags along and interacts in their own way, which is like really freaking cool.
Oh yeah,
So-
each of those geese is one person typing honk in the chat. So that's
Right.
yeah.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you everyone for sharing a little bit about you, your channel, and what you do on Twitch. So let's dive into some of these questions and start getting into some strategies. So first thing I want to ask is, why is viewer interaction important to a channel? And what I would like to do is probably go around the room. So I'm gonna start with Will this time, and then we'll go to Will, Duke, and then Celina.
I think viewer interaction is the most important measure. At least it's the one that I use for my stream success. More than viewer count, more than subs or followers or anything like that. If people are interacting in the chat, it shows to me right away that people are engaged with what I'm doing. They care enough to actually bother, using their fingers on a keyboard or a phone, as opposed to just watching. And it's also just a really good temperature test. I think we've all had moments where the chat is moving like crazy and everyone's into what you're doing, and there's other times where the chat, maybe it slows down a little bit, maybe there's a bit of a pause, and I don't know about you guys, but those pauses don't make me feel good, so I like to avoid them as much as possible. So it's really just important to a stream's health to me, whether someone has an active chat, and especially I think when it comes to monetizing a stream, you want people who are engaged with the community and are there for the community and not just for the game you're playing necessarily.
Awesome. I totally agree with that. What do you have to add, Duke?
Yeah, I agree with that in general. I think a big part of it is we're entertainers, right? That we're working on a form of interactive entertainment, right? We're not some figure up on a stage far away. That's part of what makes streaming such an attractive medium, is that we can actually we can interact with the people who are watching, and we can have that kind of ongoing stuff. And a lot of people, what I've found is a lot of people don't want to have to think about what it is that they're saying in chat. They don't want to have to try to come up with something clever to say or whatever. You're watching something, you're watching entertainment to relax a lot of times, right? But if you give somebody a button that says honk or food or whatever, they're going to love pushing that button because it makes them, they're like, yes, I like this. And that makes people happy, right? And when I know that I'm making other people happy, that makes me happy, right? So giving that opportunity for interaction and giving a very easy avenue for people to give a little bit of expressiveness back to the entertainment that they're seeing, and like hitting the right sound effect or clip or quote or something at the right time, or finding the right time to like giving that honk example, right, would be like hitting the honk in the middle of like a really corny sappy scene in a game that's not that you're not like super into, and like somebody's having like, I am so sad, honk. It's like, you can make great moments out of that kind of stuff. And I love that. The other big thing, like Will mentioned, is the monetization angle, right? Like I think there's a kind of taboo of not speaking about monetization, that we as streamers, we kind of shy away from saying like, hey, when you cheer 25 bits, you're giving me a quarter, right?
Yeah. I
don't have that taboo personally, but I think a big part of it is like, you look at like older like amusement center games and stuff, and you've got like the thing where you put the quarter in and it goes down the pegs, and you don't get anything if you win, right? You'll put the quarter in just to watch it go. And it's important for me, at least, to kind of compartmentalize that and say like, if you give me a quarter, here's what you get. It'll spray out these little food sprites on the stream. Or if you give me $1, you get to have this funny voice say your message.
Yeah.
And I like putting it into that kind of packaging and kind of saying like, there's a very clear delineation of what it is that you do and what it is that you get. And then on the other side of that, like, here's some stuff you can do for free that's a bit lesser or a little less disruptive, that kind of thing, so that it balances that out, that it's like you can have some fun, or you're here at the arcade, you can have a little more for a quarter or $1 or whatever.
Yeah,
I find that people really like that. And so,
yeah, that's really cool. I love that you also point out that you do like some things with channel points. That's like a taste of what you're doing, and then the full mode of it through like bits or some other form of monetization. I really think that that's smart.
Exactly, because it's something that I don't want anyone to feel left out. But it comes down to the end of the day, I do have to make a I want to make a living off of this, and the more that people support me, the more that people are willing to put that quarter in the box and get the little thing to happen, the better it is for me, honestly. So I want them to get some entertainment and some enjoyment. Ooh, I'm getting so excited, I hit my microphone. I want the people who are watching or who are supporting me to get some kind of enjoyment and happiness and reward out of that, rather than just like my thanks, right? Because my thanks are worthless.
Not to me, but all right. You know what? That's fine. That's fine. Celina, what do you think?
So why is viewer interaction important to a channel? Twitch is a live streaming platform. If you're not interacting with your chat, you're not using the live aspect, which is like what makes Twitch Twitch. You're not using it to its full potential, right? It's important because when you use tools to interact with your audience, it's a big opportunity for them to be involved, to be present, to actually feel like they're making an impact on the content. Something gets triggered and there's a reaction from the streamer, there's a reaction from the chat. You're giving your audience the opportunity to have an identity, to partake in the inside jokes, to make the inside jokes, to shift the feeling of the live stream. And that is how you develop a culture. It allows a culture to develop and foster, and that's it. That's why I think it's so important. It's what makes Twitch Twitch,
I couldn't have said it better myself. Definitely, it does create a culture. And I think there are 3 very distinct cultures within each one of your channels. And that is why I think it's so cool to learn the perspective from each one of y'all. Because I know if I go into a Celina stream, I'm going to see alerts that are dedicated to whatever game is being played at that moment, right? I know if I go into Will, I'm going to see alerts that like feel like I'm in some kind of cool music video or like some kind of art school something, or like I go into Duke and I know I'm gonna see food everywhere. The food is everywhere. Well, that was some great answers. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's really important to understand, especially what you said about it being live and interacting, and the health of the stream, like Will said, like that is I think it's one of the best measures. Agree 100%.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so could each one of you describe some of the concepts you have around chat interaction on your channel? And this time I'm going to go Celina, Will, then Duke.
Okay, sure. So some of the concepts that I have around chat interaction with my channel, some obvious ones like bit alerts and sub alerts. An image gets played, a sound gets triggered, a video plays, there's text to speech, there are different variations. One amount might have the opportunity to trigger like up to 5 random things or something. So there's an element of randomness with it. There's some gaming with it, right? There's channel point redemptions. Some of them trigger the similar things like animations, alerts, sounds. Something happens in chat. I have a snapshot interaction on my channel for 300 bits. You can take a Polaroid snapshot of me, and then once that's up on screen, anyone can caption it for 50 bits. So you like cheer 50 bits, and you can put like a caption with it. And the snapshots are usually absolutely ridiculous. So you can imagine the captions that go with it. And all of these get saved and they get put into the Discord. So like, the jokes can continue and the inside jokes can form and things like that. I have one where I'm using like face tracking, and I have like Navi tracking my face, and it's one of them, like it looks like she's hanging out next to me, and I've like made it so that she like moves with me. What? And so that's triggered by somebody cheering bits, and then once that's on screen, a channel point becomes active, like a channel point redemption becomes active that everyone can get in on. So there's there's some balance with some of the things that I do to make sure that they can, involve more of the community. And I would love to implement more things like that. I think Will does a fantastic job with that. And other things that I have are commands that people can use while I'm in the bathroom, while I'm BRBing, and there's like Pokemon that roll across my screen, and it's a subscriber perk, so it's something that unlocks when you become a subscriber. And so even when I'm not there, there's different ways to interact with the stream and to, make your own story, create some inside jokes, and develop a culture. Yeah.
I love that. Make your
Thank
own
you.
story and create some inside jokes and create the culture. I love that. I noticed the face cam one the last time I think I was on your
moving?
channel. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
is it moving?
It
That is so
yeah.
freaking
She like
cool.
follows me. It's really cool. It's through the I think the NVIDIA AR stuff. Yeah, through OBS. Yeah. Apparently you can't do too much of it because it crashes, but you can have
Yeah.
like a couple face tracking things. And so right now I just
Yeah,
have one,
crashes?
but yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love it if like, you could get like a halo and just like put it around your head. You can make your own like snap cam filters, right? Like just, put on a pair of glasses and tie it to like a channel point redeem or a command, or when you hit a goal in chat or something, have it show up. And yeah.
That is so smart. All right,
Yeah.
let's hear from you, Will.
The most important concept around chat interaction and having people interact with your stream is remembering that viewers love to make things fart. Anything, any
Yes.
fart related thing,
Yes.
a very
This is
strong
true.
idea.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I guess I always think of like typing in chat as one level of interaction, and being able to do stream alerts or put bits into the stream and cause things to happen is like the next level. So people are either spending channel points or spending bits for that extra level of access, the ability to really mess things up or interrupt or participate in a way that's beyond just typing in the chat. And obviously there's always a balance that you have to be aware of, how much disruption you're willing to endure, how much disruption your audience is willing to endure, because I know for a fact there are people who probably would rather focus on gameplay who don't necessarily have the best time watching my stream.
Totally.
I've also found I like to keep the alerts cheap, you know,
Yeah.
affordable to the average person. Whenever an alert is used, it's pretty much advertising itself. So it's nice to have cheap alerts that people are spamming a lot versus a very expensive alert that's maybe used once a week or maybe never in some cases. And also on the disruption side of things, keeping them relatively short, maybe no longer than 30 seconds, so the people who are there for gameplay aren't too encouraged to click away from your stream while there's, feet and things exploding around everywhere.
We're gonna end up with a cross collaboration of honking feet and
Art. Yeah.
Honking feet that spew out food somehow. Yeah.
I'll be sending Duke Donuts my foot pics after this.
Oh
Get
my
in line,
God.
Will. Get in line.
All right. Well, make sure you put it in the group chat so we can all see. I mean, just kidding.
Perfect.
So that, you know what, Will, it's funny you brought up the disruptions, because I will never forget the time of the ice cream sandwich time. That's never, that has memory burn in my brain. I will never forget that. So chat, one time Will did a stream. And yeah, I know that whole song now. So it just played for I don't know, maybe it was an hour, 2 hours straight. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. But that was incredible.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely a disruption.
Duke, tell us some of the concepts you have around interaction on your channel.
So one of the big things, and this is a personal preference of mine. I know there's some people who kind of approach this differently. A lot of the stuff that I do, I like it to be a big pool of things that can happen rather than one specific thing. I like to take a little bit of that element of control away from the interaction, so that it's when you hit food, there's, I think, 125 different sound clips that can play. There's currently 60 something sprites that can spawn. There's a redeem for voices that'll play little voice clips. I think there's 800 of those.
What?
There's just this gigantic pool of possible things that can happen. So when somebody is hey, I'm gonna spam a whole bunch of food with bits, you'll get this, you hear this thing, and there's these rare events that occur because there's so many different possibilities. So that it's when you hear time for a meat wave, it's that's something that happens rarely enough that you'll probably hit it if you're spamming a couple hundred bits or something in food sized amounts. But you won't get that very often if you're just clicking the food button over and over, right? It'll be a while between that. But because it's so tightly packed when it's spammed, I need to maintain this huge pool of things. And that's one part of it, right? Is that I want it to be something where when you click the button, you, the button clicker, can be surprised and entertained and enjoy what happened, because you're wow, I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
Right? That's something cool, is discovering something new and being the first person to hit that rare alert. Or when you hit voices and you get Macaw talking about playing Dreamcast Sorcerian for 1,000 bits. It's that's a rarity, and that rarity gives people something enjoyable. It gives them that little boost of yes, I got it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one big thing. The other thing that I like to do is that I like to have a kind of a progression. I think Will mentioned this a little bit, and Celine did as well, that there's a kind of a progression of how frequently you can do something, how disruptive that thing is, and what is the cost or cooldown or whatever the limiting factor is, right? I don't have to make TTS. I love TTS. I love TTS spam. I think it's the funniest thing in the world. And I'm always laughing. I'm not just laughing for the show. I'm laughing because I am entertained when people pull out the TTS. And I could make TTS cheaper for my own amusement, but I don't want it to be too disruptive. So I have this kind of rate limiting factor of you've got 500 characters. You give me $1, you can put anything you want in there that doesn't break TOS. You want to put 500 Ls, go for it. Right.
Right.
I'm going to be laughing at LLLL, right? I'm going to be having a good time. But that brings a second point, which is there is room on Twitch for people who don't want to do that stuff, who don't want a chaotic stream that's always doing this crazy stuff. And sometimes, like, for example, right, there are some other streamers in the retro community, like Dot Level, Lord BBH, who use very simple alerts, and they don't do TTS, and they'll just use like insert credit sounds from something, or like new game sounds, so that it's a nice thematically consistent thing, and it doesn't interrupt their streams, because those are streams for the gameplay, for people who are there for the game mostly. And they're better gamers than I am, right? So I can't come to the table and be like, hey, check out my amazing gameplay. So I'm gonna do something that's going to impress people other ways, or entertain people other ways. One of the other things that I do is I'd like to try to balance out what that progression of kind of stuff is. So in order to encourage different people to engage with different parts of the stream. So points are one part of the thing. Bits do a couple of different things. And then because you don't really have, outside of self-paid resubs, you don't really have an opportunity for someone gifting a subscription to provide any kind of input other than a subscription was gifted and the number of subscriptions gifted, right? So there's no channel to communicate anything with that. So you can't have someone gift 10 subs and then do a bunch of TTS messages. There just isn't a mechanism for that. So what I did instead is I that's one of the reasons I have to run my own custom backend, is I have my own instance of GPT-2, the neural network large language model, running in the background when I stream. And when someone gifts a sub, it will go pick from a variety of starting prompts, and it will generate a little story up to about 2,000 characters long and read that back out via TTS. So that's where we get those things like, Dell and the zombie stories, or weird video game power-ups, or these lists of fake games and stuff like that. That stuff comes from a large language model that's running in the background. And when a gift subscription comes in, because I can't reward that more than just an alert.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of just an alert, I'm like, okay, I got an indicator that there's a gift sub. So let's move that over to the neural network and have that return something of value to the viewer, so they get a reward for that. And that's kind of along the lines of that kind of compartmentalized, like, you do thing, you get thing kind of thing. And I'm always trying to think of like, where can I stuff things in to give people these kind of rewards, and how can I present those, and what is the best format? Because at some point you want to have, like, you have some things that you want to just hit the button, thing happens. Some things like bits, you have a certain number of things that you can do, or text entry that you can do along with it, and that's something else to consider. So there's that kind of split between what you can do with each of the different avenues of interaction available.
Wow. Dude, there's so much to learn just from all of that stuff there with the AI and, the neural network, and like how you want things to translate for people and all that kind of stuff. That is so deep. Like, Duke, you should definitely consider, like, maybe doing even like a YouTube series on all the stuff that's possible with what you do. That's really cool.
I've thought about it. There's a lot to unpack, and one of the things I think I've talked to you about this is I feel a little guarded about putting myself out there as an expert to say, like, hey, here's all this stuff you should do, because I don't want to be that guy saying, here's all this stuff you should do, follow my channel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I hear that.
You don't want to be like a come to me for all the answers kind of streamer. Like, you want to play games and
exactly.
and stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put myself in that arena to necessarily contradict what that group is saying as well, to have them say, well, someone else said what you said is wrong, and I want to contradict you on that and start an argument about it. I don't want to have that argument. I just want to
Gotcha.
play games and I want people to have fun and have have a good time about video games mostly.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Well, thank you for that very, very awesome and deep dive into what you do on your channel. So, all right, everyone. What are some interactives that you personally find fun and entertaining? Like, what are some of your favorites? Like, do you like bits over tags more than channel points over alerts, hype chats? Like, what are some like that are your own favorite things? So I'm gonna go with Will first, then Duke, then Celina.
I love bits. Bits are great. As I said earlier, small amounts, quick alerts, something that just shakes up the stream for a second. I really grew up watching a lot of sketch comedy and shows like Tim and Eric. So I love the idea of like segments too, like little, like I've like a cat puppet that pretends to be drunk and like ringing your doorbell trying to like order food.
Yeah.
Like
I love that one.
Like a raptor that has his news program and stuff. So this idea of like little cutaway interruptions that are like asides to what's occurring on stream are really, I don't know, I just think they're really cool. And they really add like a cohesive element to your broadcast, no matter what game you're playing, that you have, well, in my case, like dumb recurring characters, besides myself as obviously the dumbest recurring character.
So would you say out of all your channel point all of your alerts, like everything that you have on your channel, like bits are the ones that you have the most of?
Oh yeah, by far bits. Just because I like those elements of my stream to be accessible to people, and spending 50 cents or 70 cents or something to make something cool happen, or $1.50, I feel is a lot more reasonable than well, I think PayPal right now it's like $2 is the starting point.
Yeah.
So I know that times are tough and a lot of people don't have the disposable income to be spending on Twitch streamers. So when they do, I want to try and give people the best bang for their buck, and usually it's in those smaller bit amounts.
Yeah. The smaller ones that add up. They add up over time. Gotcha. Okay. And okay, I said I would come to Duke next, right? What for you is like your favorite? Is it like bit alerts, channel points? Which one do you like to use the most?
I think I definitely agree with Will that like the most attractive thing with bits is that it does allow, it's something that you can allow a very, very cheap thrills, right? That like it's very easy to give folks a small taste of whatever it is, and you can scale that really easily because you know the exact amount of it, right?
Yeah.
And like again, to kind of go into the sausage factory on this, bits by far have the best pay through, right? So in terms of encouraging people to do things one way or another, the top pay through is definitely PayPal Business with dynamic micropayments, which that's something that like it's tough to guide people to that though, right? Because it's going to something that's not as tightly integrated in Twitch. And second to that is bits. Bits are great because you have this fine control over, like, if you wanted to have 100 different alerts that people could select from between 1 cent and $1, you could do that, right? You have this really fine control, and you have information that people can provide. So you can do things like you can play TTS, they can enter a message, you can communicate a lot more with bits. And so I find that to be one of the most preferable ways.
Yeah.
And that said, I'm always looking for ways to expand the ways that other components of the stream will work. For example, how can I make subscriptions more attractive or more entertaining or different than bits? How can I make How can I make channel points work really well for what it is that I do? Because I always make the assumption that everyone in chat has an infinite number of channel points because somebody's been sitting on them for 2 or 3 years or however long their channel points have existed, and they've been watching every stream, and I've streamed thousands of hours during that time. So like, if I ever put something on that's like, haha, this is a funny large amount that people might one day reach, somebody instantly, it's going to be gone instantly.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That said, one of the things that I find to be really fun and engaging that I want to find more opportunity to do this myself, is stuff like predictions and polls, where you can give people an opportunity to go just dump their channel points into something that doesn't really matter. You know, it's fake points.
Yep.
It's fake points and nobody wins. But like a lot of that can be really entertaining. Like Mr. Radon, one of my close friends, he'll do no miss attempts on video games, where people can bet their channel points on where he's gonna lose a first life. And it can be really surprising where it's like, okay, let's play my hero on the master system.
Yeah.
Instantly dead. First enemy dead. And it's like,
wow. Yeah.
But that kind of engagement of like getting people to like guess and second guess what they're doing. You know, Dino Please does the frog races. Those are great as well. And it's like, what are you going to spend those channel points on? You're not going to be doing anything really big to influence the stream or the streamer, and I like that, right? It's something, it's very low commitment. So you feel good being like, you know what, I'm going to go all in on this because I've got faith you're going to finish this game, and then they biff it in the first round, and you're like, well, oh well.
That's some really, really good points. I love that. Celina, tell me, what are some of your favorites that you like to use? Bits, channel points, all that kind of stuff.
Elements that I find to be entertaining. I mean, bits are definitely, I love the customizability. Like you can, between like 1 bit up to what's the maximum you can cheer in a channel, $2,000, right? Like that, right? Like up to, like, I think you can cheer that at once. I don't know what it, but like you can add one for every single, like you can have something for 1, you can have one for 2, you can have one for 3. Like it is like the most powerful tool that Twitch has, that they have given creators. And I think it's so important to so many channels, especially like channels with such high interactivity such as ourselves. Like I know they're trying to do something with hype chat, but it's not there, you know. You need those small accessible amounts, like Will said, and to make the streams more accessible and balanced to people in the communities and stuff, like in the community. And it's just, I think it's so important. It's by far my favorite thing. Other than that, like Duke said, I was definitely going to mention polls and predictions. I love doing random funny polls, just like, all right, chat, like what direction do you hang your toilet paper? Like some people hang it towards the wall instead of, anyways, that's, you know, it's such an opportunity to like engage the community and see, right, you know, my face exactly, right? Yesterday we were debating about bread bowls. There are people who like they'll eat the soup out of a bread bowl and then they'll throw out the bread bowl. Anyways, hilarious polls, right? Like just opportunities to just like anytime a conversation comes up, just using the tools that Twitch has provided the streamers, right? And like moderators can throw them up too, right? And I love doing predictions too. Like it could be simple, like rolling a D20. Like, am I going to get, you know, less than D10 or greater than, right? And you vote on one side or the other. And it's just like another thing that I have seen done. I've seen this in Will's channel is like type a 1 in chat if. Type a 7 in chat if you've ever microwaved a sponge instead of a pizza pocket. Like type a 4 in chat if, and you just see like the, you know, just like such ridiculous random interactions that just like really help build a culture and create like inside jokes and stuff. Like, so it doesn't even have to have like a monetary aspect applied to it all the time. Like you can just engage your community. That's a lot. You look at this. Look at this. I know. I mean, like they're, you know,
especially if you tell chat not to do something, like don't put an 8 in chat. Otherwise, then it's like
I know, it's some of my favorite times. Or like, quickly, everyone, like, type your favorite animal. Like, it does, it doesn't even have to be through bits. Those are my favorite though, because the question was, what are some elements you find to be entertaining and fun? And it's for me, it's the customizability of all the bits, the themed alerts, like, just, yeah, I love it. I love the community coming together and like telling a story with the things that have been put together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a very smart moderator has created a poll on the channel. Very smart. I love
Literally
that.
do it all the time, guys. It's great. All the time. Always. It's so much fun.
So good. So good. And you know what I wanted to ask y'all? It's not here like in my list of questions, but is there like one set of style of alerts that's like easier to build than others? Like for me, I have an easier time building alerts for bits versus subscriptions because of the nature of the way people interact with them. Like bits, like people can interact very quickly and it's low cost, but subs or like, gift subs or whatever, that's a little bit of a more premium interaction. So like, is there one that you find is like a little bit easier to develop?
Probably the ones that don't have like a monetary aspect, coming up with a channel point redeem, then you got to set a value on that, like a number on that. But like, it requires less effort than like, oh, I'm gonna put a dollar value to this. How can I make it accessible? How can I not also make it be that disruptive? How do I give that like value back to the viewers? And yeah, so
There's also an element of saving myself. Like,
yes,
like if it's a sub alert, I know it's going to be happening a lot. And
yes.
do I want to subject myself to something terrible I've created? So there's a bit more freedom with the bit alerts where you're not going to be doomed to see it forever or for a long time.
Right.
Where the sub alerts, you might want something a little more generic, a little more,
Yeah,
a little safer, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, that's definitely like follow alerts. I try to make those as like quick and painless as possible.
Yeah.
Cause then it's like, you're going to get those like more often than like maybe some of the other things. That's true. And
If someone's starting out, I would say just like an image and a sound, or just like an image, right? Like if you're talking about like the types of elements, you don't need to get into like animating or hiring someone to, if you're just starting like bare bones, then that's probably an easy place to start.
Just
right?
make the sound of fart. That's all you
Literally
need.
just with your mouth, right? Well,
there are other parts.
yeah.
I think one of the interesting things, and I think you kind of nailed this, Ash. I've had the same follow alert since 2018 or something like that. I've had the same follow alert for 5 years about. And what's interesting to me is that I know exactly when someone has followed me because I hear it and I know exactly what that sound means, and it's the only place that I hear it, right? So having that consistency for things that are going to happen often, it's also a pretty short alert. So when that happens, I know what's happened, and I can immediately be like, okay, I should look at, because I don't do anonymous follows. I like to talk to people and address them by name. I know some people prefer anonymous follows, but it's like, there's room for both, I think. But I like to be like, hey, hello, welcome, and address people by name. That's one thing that like corporate culture really drilled into me, was if you address people by name, they like you more. And so I know when I hear my follow alert to go look at my my alert list and see who followed and say, hi, welcome, thank you for following. Right. Yeah. And so that makes a big difference for me, because it allows me to kind of condition my reactions to things. And like, I have a whole bunch of different sub alerts, but I know what pool they're in. And I have a whole bunch of different bit alerts, and I know what pool they're in. But I also have, I did this thing, and I need to expand it at some point, but I have it set up so that I can have an idea of what's happened without looking at anything, just by the sound that I hear.
Yeah.
So when somebody gives me 500 bits or more, I know that somebody's gone out of their way with no extra benefit to themselves. They don't get any anything different at 500 bits than they do at 100 bits. So I know someone's gone out of their way to be generous to me, and so I have a different alert that plays specifically above 500 bits. And so by making those kind of, there's a pool that plays below 500, there's one alert that plays above 500, and then there's the alerts for subs. So I know what's happening very quickly without having to look at anything, I know whether I need to look and how generous someone has been, right? So I'm like, holy crap, like I just heard the high value alert. Holy crap, thank you so much, right? Because that's it's something that I won't dismiss it. I won't be like, oh hey, it's just more food or whatever, right? I don't know, like someone's being really generous and
another meat wave.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, that makes me that, you know what, all of the things that y'all are saying, especially what you said earlier, Celina, is what can you do as a person who's just starting out? And I didn't add that question in here, but that made me think about some, like, from all of your perspectives, it might be really, really great to hear, especially for people who don't know where to start or how to start. So I'd like to ask that to all of y'all, like, what are some good strategies for people just starting out if they're creating their own alerts or they're hiring somebody to create alerts for them? What are some key things that y'all want to think about? And I think I'm gonna start with Celina, Will, and then Duke.
I think I answered some of this for the tips and tricks at the very end.
Oh,
but,
yeah, forgot about that.
No, totally more than happy to answer it now. Start integrating interactive elements as soon as possible, and don't start small. Expect some things to fail, expect some things to not work out, expect to iterate on things. Like, I've been doing this for years, and I'm constantly iterating, I'm constantly trying through just growing through trial and error and learning what works and what doesn't. You have to do what feels natural for your streams and your community. There might be some like regular jokes or memes that come up. Maybe try integrating those into your streams somehow. Start by learning how to do it and play around with it. This isn't something that happened overnight for me. Like, my streams started off being very interactive. Like, there were so many things that I did manually via channel points, and then eventually you get to a point where you're like, okay, like we can look into automating this and seeing how to scale this, because at some point it's you have to think about scalability too. But I think if you're a streamer starting out and maybe you have 3-5 viewers or something like that, like I remember when I was there, and ways to interact and engage with my community were creating custom commands for those people, right? Like, every time they come in, they, maybe a little, like, they can type a command, an animation plays, maybe you tie a sound to it. Like, you don't have to start adding all of these like monetary elements and then just be upset when they're not used. Like, you can start small and do what feels natural for your community at your size. And of course, if you want to, because like Will said, like, this isn't going to apply to every single streamer. It's just at one point it doesn't become scalable. You do have to put cooldowns, you do have to increase prices or think about how you want the future of your streams to look as you start growing and things like that, and the shifts that you need to make. But yeah, it's just a lot of evolving and iterating over time, and everyone is on their own journey. So yeah,
I love that. Very well said. What do you think, Will?
I think echoing what Celina said, about not being afraid to fail, and sticking simple. I've spent weeks creating alerts that barely got used, and I've made alerts in like an hour that got spammed over and over and over again. The simplest alerts usually do the best, so keep it simple, keep it dumb, and don't be super hard on yourself when creating things. Especially, it's easy to get into a comparison game with, if you're just starting out, looking at someone who's been streaming for years, or in my case over a decade, and I've had a lot of time to develop things. So I think often there can be a lot of pressure to try and make your stream instantly the same as someone's who's been working on it for a huge amount of time. So don't pressure yourself that way. It's really easy to get into that mindset. And one last thing, Game choice, I think, is important. Some games lend themselves better to interruptions and interactions. Personally, I can't play action-heavy video games at all on my stream. I'm either focused on the game or I'm focused on the chat, and it's hard to have alerts going off, when you're like in an intense 30-minute boss battle. So it's an important thing to consider, whether the types of games you want to stream, well, what interruptions and what alerts and interactions they lend themselves well for.
Also, I
That's-
will
yeah.
I will say to decide if you're doing it, I think pretty early on. Not that you can't change your mind, of course, but like decide pretty early on if you're doing it as a hobby or if you want this to be a career or a job, because literally every decision that you will make, especially if you start tying it to monetary stuff, will come back to that ultimately, right? So I think that that's also a really good starting point.
Yeah, I would add on to that that's a decision. The decision whether you would consider it as a career, you might want to make early on, but do view it in the long term, because as far as I know, right, like it took me several years to get to the point where I could even consider doing streaming full time, right? It wasn't until I was already well established, I think a year as a partner, before I was able to make that decision and say, I could make this work. If I cut a lot of stuff out of the rest of my life, I can make the income from streaming work, and I'm willing to make that trade because I love doing this so much, right? I think it's tough to start out and say I'd like to be a streamer, I'd like to make a living as a streamer. It's difficult. It can lead to a lot of obstacles that you might not see if you're just doing it because you're having a really good time. That's like, outside of this discussion, that's my number one advice to anyone starting out in streaming is you've got to love it. You got to love doing it, because if I wasn't looking forward to doing what is essentially my job every single day when I wake up, I wouldn't be streaming as often. I wouldn't be doing it as a career. None of that stuff would exist if I wasn't like, yes, we're gonna play this today. It's like, check out this stupid game. Right, but like, it that's what drives me to continue, and I think that's one of the things that makes it so accessible to. And if you're like, I don't care if there's one person watching or 100 or 10,000. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna play this game because I'm gonna have a good time with it, or because I really want to beat this game, or I want to show this game to people. And that driving force behind it is just like, it's so necessary to have a really good time doing it. And then that follows on to, with regard to this more narrow discussion, make alerts that make you happy. An alert that comes up and you go every time, excellent, perfect. If you get that stupid chuckle, like some of the alerts that I've worked on, like I think some of you know my brand, right?
Yeah.
I do stupid low effort garbage because that's what makes me happy. And like my entire stream, I've showed Ash this. My entire OBS uses Comic Sans.
Oh yes.
Not just my entire stream overlay. OBS itself is in Comic Sans. And I do that because it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh every time I open up OBS or send a screenshot to somebody and be like, here's where this is. I think you saw in our group chat that my Twitch UI is in Comic Sans.
I noticed that.
And and the reason for that is because it makes me laugh, and that carries over to alerts. Make alerts of things that you like. Don't spend too much time on it. But if you're working on an alert, you're editing a video and you're doing the sound stuff and all that, and you're going, yes.
Literally all the time.
That's it. That is perfect, right? If you're like, oh, this is going to be so much work,
Yeah.
whether it succeeds or fails, you're going to be like, oh, I'm glad that succeeded because, man, that was a lot of work. Or if it fails, you're going to be like, I put so much work into that. But if you're like, if you're doing that thing, right? If that's your alert editing process, you're on the right track, because when the alert plays, you're gonna go right, and then that's gonna carry over to everyone watching, and they're gonna spam it because they love to see you laugh, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of it, is that, like,
Totally.
I think more people have commented that they love hearing me laugh on stream than anything else, and that's one of the reasons why that drives all of the stuff that I do, is that, like, if it's making me laugh, it's making everyone else laugh, and other people love when I'm laughing. So it's mirth all around.
Yeah.
And that's the track that I try to follow with all of that stuff. And I think that's when you're starting out, when you're making your first alerts, make stuff that makes you happy, that makes you chuckle or giggle, or that you enjoy. And early on, decide, am I going to showcase like specific games in a very serious format with little interruption or chaos? Am I going to go somewhere in the middle? Am I going to go full chaos and just have stuff going on all the time? Those are choices that you can make, and you can tune your stream and your experience to that. And, like,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes people will come in and they'll say, like, oh, I can't even hear the gameplay, I don't like this, I'm leaving, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
that's fine. There are many channels, and I hope you find one that is right for you, because I don't want people to come suffer through my streams and be disappointed that I'm not what they're looking for. I put my stream together to make me happy, and to make the people who are watching me, who want to watch me, happy, right? And so losing a viewer who's not jiving with your setup is fine, right? It's okay if not everyone likes what you're doing, as long as you have a community and you're doing stuff that the people who surround you really enjoy.
Yeah. I think that's very well said. And I definitely agree with the do things that you love and do things because it makes you laugh. Because, for example, I made an alert, which is basically Bobby flying across the screen, and it's called Super Bobby. And it's just me going, dun meow, 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 meow. And I kid you not, when I made that alert, I did that laugh. I was like, this is so ridiculous. This is
Everybody knows it.
And everybody knows it, and everybody loves it. Yeah. So you know what?
You can hear me laughing in some of my alerts. Like you can hear like the chortle, like the and I'm like, all right, I'll just leave it in. Well, it's great, and it just hits me every time. Yeah,
it's real. It's real. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So another question for all of you is, what are your thoughts on interactive elements and discoverability, and do you think that they correlate? So I'm gonna go with Celina, Will, and then Duke again.
Starting with me. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if Twitch currently does this, but I would hope that they would. I hope that they promote channels that have high interactivity by pushing them, further up on the recommended, or featuring them on the front page. Like, hey, this channel has a surprising and consistent amount of interaction for its size. It would make sense if Twitch could help grow it, right? So I would hope that they do that. I don't know if they do. In terms of discoverability outside of Twitch, like through word of mouth, absolutely they correlate. My interactive elements are one of the differentiating features in my streams, and they create moments that people want to talk about and they want to share. I had a moment with a creative alert go viral on Twitter, and it got me published in Dexerto, and then I got invited to go to ESA, the European Speedrunner Assembly in Sweden, because of this, but like, that was an external effort, right? Like, discoverability through word of mouth brought people into Twitch.
Yeah, that's incredible. So that led you to outside opportunities. That is amazing.
Thank you.
I love that.
Career highlights to date, I swear. It's just putting myself out there and creating these moments that people want to talk about. It's so special. Yeah, thank you.
I hope that continues, because that's amazing. And one thing that I want to call out too, in terms of monetization with subscriptions, emotes. There are some people where I see their emotes all over Twitch, and Celina's is definitely one of them, especially the fact that you also make an emote specifically for the game that you're playing. But like, that's a part of it, because I paid to subscribe to your channel, therefore to use your emote everywhere. Just like that one I see Hesh using, I definitely see that emote everywhere. But yeah, Will, let me hear some of your thoughts. Yeah, it's an airplane. It's a nice airplane.
Well, discoverability is all about being able to set yourself apart from other broadcasters in some way. And adding alerts in is that extra unique element. Like, everyone's playing good games.
Totally.
A lot of people have good commentary. And unless you're an amazing gamer or the funniest person ever,
Yeah.
it's good to have something extra. I'm not a good gamer. I'm not the funniest person ever. So I'm hedging my bets. I'm taking advantage of as many things as possible. So people go, oh, that's the Will Shan stream
Yeah.
where blah happened, or there's something that they can instantly tie my stream to when I'm popping into someone else's channel or I'm raiding in there. They can point to something that sets my broadcast apart from every other broadcast that's out there, something that's unique, that's hopefully going to draw people in. And those unique elements also make for great Twitch clips, as we saw in the beginning, a great way to advertise your broadcast. Because it's hard, once again, everyone's got clips of something funny happening in a game. Everyone, so to have like a crazy alert or something that only you have
Yeah.
is going to draw people to specifically your stream.
Yeah.
Versus, people are going to want to be there for you, not just for whatever you're playing.
Love
It's a way to
that.
share your brand too, right? Like, you're just like advertising who you are and yourself and what you have to offer. So yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love the point of bringing up Twitch clips, because you can use that not just on Twitch with some of the new tools that they're making with the discovery feed, but
Yes.
also externally through Twitter, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and all that kind of stuff. And then if I see like a clip of this ice cream sandwich song, and then I'm looking to see if it's on Spotify and it's there, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like the whole ecosystem we're trying to build here. That's perfect. All right, Duke, let me hear what you've got to say about it.
So I think there's it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because having a lot of interactivity, having a lot of things going on at once, we kind of want to separate what I call traditional community building versus discoverability features, right? So when I think about interactivity and that kind of stuff, I think about chaos, right? Because the more stuff going on, the more buttons you have for people to push, they're going to push them all, and it's all going to be happening all at once. You have to assume that everything's going to happen, everything, everywhere, all at once. But if that's happening, it can be a little bit dense for new viewers to penetrate. If people come to the stream and they see all this stuff going on, they don't know your in jokes and your memes and they don't know what this button does or that button does, or how did somebody do this thing or that kind of thing, right? So it can be kind of intimidating as a new viewer who comes in via discoverability features. It can be kind of intimidating. They clicked on you in the retro category, or they clicked on you in the recommended list, and they have no idea, no preamble for what they're going to get. They're going to come in and they're going to be like, they're going to be deer in the headlights, just like, I don't know what's going on. Sometimes they're going to be like, I love this, tier 3 sub, right? That's happened. That's literally happened, that somebody came in and they're like, I'm home, and they immediately tier 3 sub in the middle of like overlapping TTS and food flying everywhere and all of these voices playing, and that's great, right? But that's not necessarily the majority of viewers. Most viewers want something in between, that they don't want just like, okay, here's a gameplay video, no commentary, no mic, no video. Like, they want something in between that. And
Yeah.
finding that sweet spot is very important, right? And the sweet spot varies. I'm
Yeah.
way over here on the chaos end, right?
Yeah.
But a big part of that is in terms of traditional community building, where you're sharing clips and people are saying, I saw the funniest thing happen on Will's stream. I saw Celina's alerts do this really funny thing while she was playing this exact moment in this game. The Ash's, have you seen Ash's Super Bobby redeem? It's so cool, right? That's traditional community building. That's word of mouth. It's people sharing things. And you kind of like, you get to a point, if you're doing things like, if you're executing it really well, if your community is really on board with it and they're enjoying it, they're going to be talking about it. They're going to be sharing it. They're going to be making clips. They're going to be giving you opportunities to make shorts and stuff like that. And I find that that's really that's something that Twitch does best, right? Is building that sense of community, but weirdly primarily externally, because we don't know that Twitch is actually promoting stuff based on interaction rates and that kind of stuff. We don't have any of that
I
data.
hope.
I
Um,
would hope, yes.
we hope, right? But we don't
Yeah.
know. We
They
don't
should
actually
be.
know what that
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
that works, right?
Yeah.
We do know that like when people raid in and your numbers go up, there's these kind of like plateau numbers that it's like if you go over 150 average viewers in retro, you're going to go from 150 to 180. If you go below 100, you're going to go from 99 to 79, right? There's this kind of like equilibrium that happens. But we don't like I've had streams where there've been like 60 people spamming everything and having a great time, and that's cool, like I love it. That it to me it doesn't matter whether it's 60 people or 150 or however many, right? As long as everyone's having a good time. But what ends up happening is even those smaller streams where everyone's having a good time and it's just this like kind of laugh factory, it's a small party but everyone's having a great time, that still produces these moments and these times. It still produces something that people want to share and they want to talk about, and that's better than a stream with 2, 3, 4 times as many people, where it's just very on the straight and narrow, unless you're doing something special like, hey, here's this game nobody's ever seen before, and everyone's just like, okay, quiet, we want to see this, right? If everyone comes to that decision as a community, and that's great. I've had that happen where I'm like, I'm playing a game that's new to me, and like I don't change anything about my stream, but everybody decides they're too enraptured by the content to want to spam stuff. They just want to see what's going to happen next, and that's great because we know then that like it doesn't really matter that all of the buttons are there. Nobody wants to push them, and like someone will a little bit, and then they'll be like, okay, but back to the game.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't have to police that. I don't have to be like, all right, I'm turning this thing off because of this thing, that thing, the other. The only time I do that is for like the like magazine looking stuff, the stuff that takes a long time for me, that takes me away from some project that I'm working on or some bigger thing like that.
Going off of what Duke said at the beginning about making there's like a double-edged sword and making sure that people understand what's going on. Like I think it's also important to explain what's going on a lot of the times, right? Like just last stream I was talking about what is a channel point, like what it was somebody's first time like using bits on a channel, and it just don't be afraid to like just explain very clearly what's going on to the best of your ability, or like third-party extensions that you use. Some people don't know about like VTTV, FFZ, like, hey, you might be seeing like text in chat and it might be very confusing. It's actually an emote if you have a third-party extension, right? Like, which is another way to interact and engage your community through these third-party extensions and with emotes and stuff, right? So just being willing and able to explain that, or maybe you have a command or your moderators explain it, or it's in your panels or something, but making some kind of an effort to make people who are brand new exactly clicking on the stream and they're like, I have no idea what's going on. Just, trying to be as clear as possible.
That's actually something, one of the things, because I've been doing a bit of YouTube streaming recently in the last couple of months, and live streaming on YouTube is a very different experience. It's not really built around the same type of interaction that Twitch is. And Twitch does that so well, right? The interactivity is amazing on Twitch, and there's so many minor differences, so many strange little differences live streaming on YouTube, that it's a very like it's a mode to get into, to say like, okay, hey, awesome, cool, welcome to the stream. Here's how this thing works. Here's how that thing works. And if you click this thing, you can do that. And like, okay, here's an example. Here's a perfect example on YouTube. If you're a partner on YouTube and someone gifts a membership to your channel, people have to manually turn on the ability to receive gift memberships. And most people don't know that. So someone will gift 10 memberships and like 3 or 4 of them will get claimed, and everyone else is like, why can't I get one? And so like I made a chat command. I made a chatbot command that's like, hey, if someone's gifting memberships, here's how it works. You have to enable it. you can do so by clicking here, but it won't work if you're a brand account, right? And so it's like by giving that kind of stock answer, it works so well to bring people in on board on the experience and say, like, here's how you do it. And that's one of the big things. Like, one of my next steps, one of the next things that I want to plan for is bringing more people into Twitch that aren't familiar with Twitch. I think there's a lot of people out there who might be like, yeah, Twitch is for like Zoomers who are playing Fortnite or something, right? And it's like, you can play anything on Twitch, right? There's so many different...
anything,
there's all kinds of
Yeah.
different content.
Yeah.
And there's, I think, a lot of people who don't think of Twitch as a source for watching that kind of content. And I'd love to reach out to those people and say, like, hey, do you like old DOS games? Like, come on in. And like, it's an intimidating experience at first, but here's how you do it. Like, try getting this thing, check this thing out. Here's what these terms mean and that kind of stuff. And I do that a little bit as new viewers come in and they're like, what is going on? And I'm like, okay.
Right.
TPS is currently reading off a story from a neural network and other people are firing turkey legs at me. And right. So it's this whole thing that it's like, there's this, and it makes like, it doesn't make any sense to a new viewer, right? But they look at it for a minute and they go, yeah, okay, this isn't for me, and they move on, or they go, yes.
Yeah, I think people know pretty quickly. Like, I think some people are like, okay, yeah, no, I get it, and I love it, and like they've seen enough like stand-up comedy or improv or like, you know, cutaways, like Will was talking about, that they're like, okay, yeah, no, I get it, and this is it. This isn't just a stream; it's a show. Like, it's treated like it's a show, a show that the audience has the ability to impact and like change. It's just it's so special to me. I love it so much.
Bring your own food to Gallagher.
It's totally
I love that. I love the way that you put that too. Yeah, that's so perfect. So, I have one more question that I want to ask y'all, and then we're gonna leave like 5 minutes for any Q&A that might come up, because can you believe it's already been like almost an hour and a half? Like,
no, that's I can't.
It's been so much fun.
There's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about.
So much, and I feel like look, my paper here, I have all these notes here because
I have like,
I mean, I'm gonna go back into the VOD and like really listen, and I am so grateful I was able to have this conversation with y'all. But the one question I really want to ask is there anything that Twitch doesn't do that y'all want to see happen in terms of interactivity? I know, Celina, you mentioned, you know, promoting channels that have high impact interactivity going on in that moment.
Maybe they do that. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
But
awesome.
Is there anything else that you think like could improve like the viewer experience or even the broadcaster experience in terms of making alerts and all that kind of stuff?
I think they've done a great job. They've laid a good foundation with the alerts that they've started to integrate, right? Like, now you have the animations that play over the whole like chat, over the whole screen, right? Like, it's just so immersive, and it's such a good experience from a user perspective, and the hype train alerts and things like that. Like, I think that they have a great foundation with that, and just to help build that more up and be able to add a lot of, like, right now, I think all of us pretty much use third-party programs, third-party software, right? Firebots, Sammy, like Duke was talking about, you know, neural networks and stuff I use. And I think that will always be inevitable for like taking it up a notch. But I think Twitch could really just, if they could just like build that foundation for adding like custom bit alerts, and maybe changing the cooldowns, maybe removing cooldowns, maybe, you know, different TTS voices, like text to speech options. I think that would be great, and I would love to see that from Twitch.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the first party alert system. I'm starting to migrate all my stuff over to the first party alert system to see how it works and stuff, because you're right. One thing that I love that not a lot of people use is you can make specific raid alerts for if a specific person raids your channel. So if Will Shand raids my channel, I can do like my cover of the ice cream sandwich song as an alert. And that's the way that I welcome everybody in. I love that Twitch does that. So, but anyway, is there any other things that maybe Will or Duke you want to see Twitch do, like in terms of alerts and interactive elements that we can use, tools?
Will, you want to go ahead?
Oh, you can go ahead first.
Oh, sure. So this is very particular to me. I would love to see Twitch expand some of the API access to stuff, so that for like right now there's a kind of complicated process to get to some of the stuff like the hype train alerts, the new alerts that have been added, and so we see those kind of trail off in the external platforms. External platforms do add some value, but it's harder for them to engage with things like the new alert systems and the new stuff that's been added, hype chats and stuff like that.
Right.
So expanding that access from a programmer point of view to be able to make it easier to just go like, hey, I've got an idea and I want to do something that's totally different than everything here. Right now, we don't have an official Twitch library. We have the API documentation, but all the libraries are third party. So if I wanted to sit down, if I was like, hey, I'm an amateur at Python, I want to sit down and I have this idea for a thing that I want to do, but it's outside the scope of a standard alert system, and I'd like to have it do something cool, you have to learn a lot more. There's a much bigger technical load for that right now, and I'd love to see it made more open and more accessible for more people to do stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like Tater's Games in chat just mentioned it. OAuth is a nightmare. I can't even figure it out. Somebody else figured out OAuth for me.
Ultimately, it'll be more beneficial for Twitch too overall, right? Like if they make these tools more accessible and and we're able to like interact with, there's like an open library with all these things we can interact with. Streamers will come up with super creative things. Their communities will come up with creative things. Like so many of my alerts are like community collabs or commissions from other creators, like artists, right? You know what I mean? Like it would ultimately benefit Twitch to make those tools more available.
Yeah, the easier to use and the more available tools are to get at, to get at the sources, the trigger points of these alerts. When a thing happens, give me the information in the easiest way to get at, so that me, the streamer, can actually make those decisions instead of it being, okay, two big companies have communicated with each other and done a thing for me. I would like one big company to communicate with me so that I can decide what to do with it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that making that more easily accessible, like I would love if there was like a little, like if you could download a little package to just be like, okay, I'm going to do some alert stuff on my own system, and like here's a thing to get me started. That would be so amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that's missing right now, is that it's kind of like you can kind of do that for a chatbot. There are some tutorials for that, but when it gets into the alert system and the API, it's a little more difficult. And it would be so cool because I know I see Phenomenon in the chat, and Phenomenon's been doing some incredible stuff as well, in terms of like that. And it's like at some point you hit this wall where you're like, okay, I can't do this unless I set up this complicated house of cards to just filter this alert back to me and tell me what happened.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you can do this amazing stuff, but it's hard otherwise, because you're like, it's great to have the majority use case addressed, which I think the Twitch alert system does really good. Stream Elements does really well. Streamlabs does really well. And I'd love to see a little bit more attention to and a little bit more expansion of those kind of power user tools or whatever you would call it, right?
Yep.
So that people who are doing their own kind of thing or doing something a little bit outside the norm can do a great deal of stuff. The other thing with regard to interactivity and boosting that, more hype train emotes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God,
please.
yes. Yes.
That would be, you know what idea I had with hype trains? Like maybe when there are hype trains, bits could be discounted for a period of time, like the ones that you buy from
That's
Twitch.
big brain.
Like just
Nice.
when there's a hype train, they're discounted and you buy them at that time. Clip it and ship it. I'll user voice it if people like
Please,
it. Like just
user voice it.
just
Yes.
something. And yes, user voice is so important too. I feel like
Oh
every
my God.
creator
I
needs it.
cannot
Yes,
tell you
yeah.
how much
Yeah.
impact change happens when people submit ideas to user voice and we vote on them. I'm telling y'all,
Yes.
chat, it is really important. Please use user voice. It's such a great tool. Such a great tool. Just before you answer,
Mhm.
is it okay if we go over time a little bit, because we are currently supposed to be at time and we haven't taken any chat questions yet? Are y'all okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, do you have any thoughts of things that you might want to see?
I agree with everyone. I just think Twitch TV needs to give more easy access to VTuber avatars because there's not enough anime girls on Twitch right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That was very funny. That's very funny. Duke VTuber when? Oh my god, I could give you a list.
They're huge.
Oh man.
I'll add a 1 point channel point redeem to add a VTuber to the stream.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
No cooldown, no limit. Every
nothing.
redeem adds 1 more.
I'm there.
Actually,
yeah.
and you
Get
know
in
what?
line.
You know what, Duke? I also want to say, your point of I wanted to do something, but I needed to learn something more complicated in order to learn how to do this thing. Like, I have a perfect example of that. Like, I wanted to make a channel point redeem, but I wanted the gift to be transparent. But I didn't realize that making a transparent GIF in Photoshop or some kind of tool like that was really
Transparency.
difficult.
Transparency. Yeah.
And then I had to learn how to do it in After Effects and then convert to WebM, which
Yep.
for some reason there's no tutorials on how to develop WebM. Like,
If the file format starts with .web, I'm mad already.
Huge shout out
WebP,
to
WebM.
like artists and animators who figure this stuff out and learn this stuff, because it's Yeah.
right. So
a lot.
do you think it's important to be able to like work on these things yourself, or is commission a big part of, like the way that you build all of these alerts?
I think it depends where you are in your journey. Like, if you're just starting out, do I think it's a great idea to throw hundreds or thousands of dollars at alerts? No, right? Like, you should start small. It depends where you are and what your capabilities are and what you're willing to learn, right? Like, are you going to learn to draw? Are you an artist? Are you going to learn to animate? Are you going to learn these other programs? Or are you going to focus on, creating events for your streams and like other ideas, like, sponsors and brands, and however you choose to spend your time? And if you can afford to commission someone, then it also supports artists. I love supporting artists and involving the community and other creators and collaborations and stuff. So yeah, I think it depends totally.
Yeah, echoing what Celina said, creating alerts can be like a whole other job. Like, yeah, learning how to program, learning how to draw, learning how to animate, learning different file formats. It's
technical support. Something breaks, right?
Oh yeah, and things will break. Things will break a lot.
Yeah.
So it's a steep uphill kind of battle to get there often.
I think one of the most important things is that it is a question for the individual at that moment, right? Like, are you just starting out? Is this your first stream? You don't need to spend money on alerts, period. Right?
Yeah.
Is it like you can just take a picture of your face, put some text over it, and be like, thanks for subscribing, and that's it. That's good enough, right? Like, you don't have to do very much at all, and you can still get like the first 5% of effort gets you 80% of the value, right? It can be the dumbest,
diminishing returns,
simplest thing,
right?
and then you could go the other end of the spectrum, right? You could be like, all right, look, I'm gonna hire this veteran pixel artist to do like this complicated animation, and it's gonna cost me $20,000. And if people might be impressed, but if they don't use it, like, what's the point, right? Like, you supported the artist, that's great, but also like, if that's something that you're gonna be like, if that's gonna make you, like I said before, right? As long as you're going, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing that for hiring somebody for $1,000 to do a bunch of stuff for you, awesome. right?
Yeah.
If that's what brings you that joy, and it's going to make you enjoy everything that you're doing that much more, it's totally worth it, given your budget,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of this, right? I don't think I would have been able to get into streaming if I wasn't coming from doing a like high-end IT job during the day for the first 3 years of it, right? And that made a huge difference because it meant I could invest a lot of stuff in video capture hardware and this stuff and all of that, the stuff that made me happy, because like I'm a gearhead, you know. I'm gonna be like, ooh, what does this do when you're on the real SNES versus in this emulator versus on this FPGA or whatever, right? I'm interested in that, and that brings me entertainment. So I'm justifying the cost of it every day. But when it
Yeah.
comes to like alerts, it's like I like I said, I had the same I had the same follow alert. I still do, right? It's just it's a short clip from a game that I played where the guy says, "I think I'm being followed. What could they want from me?" and that's it, right? And I saw that and I was like, "That's a follow alert. Come on."
Yeah.
And so I just put that little clip in, and like that was it. And it's been there ever since because it does exactly what it needs to do. And that's all I needed was just this little, little clip from a game that I played, and something that was personal to me and meaningful to me. And so
Gotcha.
that line of the decision, should you spend money, should you do it yourself, and like there's another ethical thing of like, is it okay to use a short clip of a game you played as an alert?
Right.
But and in general, right, I think if you're claiming someone else's art as your own, no, it's not ethically okay. But if you're like, I played this game, it has a special meaning to me, I'm going to play a little clip of it, very short clip of it as an alert, I think that's great because it adds more personality to your channel. It brings you back to something that is or was important in terms of your journey as a streamer.
Yeah, very, very, very well said. Also, chat, I had a command for ask. So it's a channel point redemption. So if anybody has any last questions before we head out, you can feel free to ask them there. I'm going to ask you all. One of the questions that I see here, which is better, sticking to one thing on stream or doing a variety of stuff? And I guess that means in terms of alerts. Like, do you think like constantly using one style is like better, or do you think that it's like, or at least maybe when you're starting out, maybe it's better to do one thing? But what do you think of that?
Oh, go ahead,
think
Will,
that-
please. Yeah. Oh God,
Whoa,
it's
whoa, whoa.
all of us
Wow.
over top of each
Go
other.
ahead.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Ah.
I think consistency is king. I really think like if you can provide a consistent experience for the people that are coming to your stream, they know what to expect, they know what they're coming back to. That's a very powerful thing. If someone comes to your stream one day and it's this thing, and they come to your stream the next day and it's this thing, they might not come back. They might be put off. So having a consistent experience, I think, is really, really important.
I think if you're, I think it depends where you are in your journey. Like if you're just starting out, it might be a matter of like, throwing things to at the wall and seeing what sticks or whatever the saying is. Like if you're not sure what you like and you're trying to find your style or your niche with your alerts and with your sounds, I think you have more of an opportunity to explore versus when you're a bit more established. Then yeah, like that consistency and that there's still that element of like unpredictability, but at least everything feels on brand, if that makes sense. Like, oh, this is very Will, or like, oh, this is very Ash. It all kind of has that feeling, which only happens if you're consistent, right?
Yeah, I think in terms, if we're talking about specifically alerts and interactions and that kind of thing, I think consistency within, like, I think of it like buckets is how I do it, right? That you can have like, okay, every time you do a sub, it's going to play something of this nature, right? Or when you give bits, you're either going to have specific bit amounts that trigger specific alerts, or they're all going to trigger within this range, a pool of alerts, or that kind of thing. You can maintain a bunch of different ideas, but you have to kind of compartmentalize them to say like, okay, when you do this, you're going to get this experience. When you do that, you're going to get this other experience. And these are the kind of things that you're going to present. And like I think a good friend of mine, Chubo, another streamer, is the master of this, right? He's got all these different, he's got a bunch of different alerts for different circumstances, but he also has this giant pool. He hit the limit of the number of different alert variations that you can have on Streamlabs.
Wow.
He could not add more alert variations because he hit the limit. And as a result, like that's for bit alerts, right? And so it's like it's not necessarily that they're all consistent, that they're all thematically consistent, but they're all consistent in that they're funny and they're stuff that's going to make you chuckle and that you're going to want to see another one, right? And I think that works really well in terms of it doesn't, whether it's like a short clip of like some TV thing or if it's some kind of art thing or a game or whatever, all of those things contribute to this central theme of like weird, slightly comedic stuff that you don't know what to expect, right? And while that's thematically consistent, I think it's important to separate the consistent experience from thematically consistent, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So
Awesome.
I agree, like you want the consistent experience.
Yeah.
And that
Mhm.
consistent experience might consist of several thematically
variety
different
of things.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
I think each
Totally.
one of you do that really, really well. Like I
It has to
know,
feel- yeah.
yeah, like
Mhm.
I know what kind of like alerts I'm gonna get in Celina. I know what kind of alerts I'm gonna get with Will. I know what kind of alerts I'm gonna get with Duke. And you know what? I just want to like call out the fact that y'all have been doing this for years, and you have taken the time to build everything and make sure that does this fit with this or does that test with that? Because like I know like we've asked this of you before, Will. Like, has there ever been an alert that you created that you didn't use or you hated after you created it? And
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that all of y'all have that kind of thing has happened to you. Like you made an alert and you're like, why did I make this?
yeah.
I had an alert called Robot Baby Friend that would appear on my stream. It would make loud crying noises, and everyone hated it. It was only there for a day.
But sometimes you gotta, right? Like y'all said, you gotta take that chance and try
Yeah,
to like
yeah.
maybe you might
Don't be
fail
afraid
at
to
something.
fail. Yeah.
Right.
Will,
Totally.
I think you know what
Mhm.
you need to do for $100 hype chats.
Right.
Robot Baby.
Oh man. Okay. What do you all think about extensions? Have you found any particular fit to your brand and alert content with the extensions?
I would be remiss if I didn't mention extensions. Oh my goodness. Yeah, extensions are I think a huge part of Twitch as well. Like I have one called Chatlibs that I produced and OMG developed and Link designed that I use in my chat and users cheer bits to fill in the blanks to a story. And then I read out that wacky, ridiculous story at the end. It's a great way to utilize, to engage the chat and the community. And there's also sound effect extensions and stuff, which I think if you're starting out, that's a great place to start out. You can use a third-party extension that someone built. They do take a percentage of that, right? It goes to the developers, though. It goes to the extension builders, right? But that's a fantastic way. You can just add an extension and then an overlay on OBS, and you're golden. I think they're phenomenal phenomenal tool for engaging with the audience for sure.
I was going to say I have kind of limited exposure to extensions, although the few that I've seen that add interactivity have been really, really cool stuff. Especially the ones like the when there's like a game that runs through an extension and allows chat to like you buy coins and then you use coins to add an extra enemy or to like hit the streamer's player at an inopportune time and that kind of stuff. Those kind of that kind of like really deeply integrated interaction stuff is wild. That's such a cool idea to me, and it's something that like I'm like I don't know how I would work that into my stuff, but when I see it and I'm like, yes,
Yeah. Like crowd control. Crowd control is a
Yes.
perfect
Someone
example of
control.
that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cult of the Lamb had that as well. I didn't play it, but apparently there was a great like interactive element with that. It's fantastic. We need more tools like that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've
Mhm.
impressively, I've seen hacks that put that kind of stuff into retro games, which is really, really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Extensions scare me, but I want to learn more. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. I don't honestly, Will, I'm in the same boat with you. Like, I have not really used extensions, but I'd love to learn more. All right. Well, you know what? We've been going for an hour and 45 minutes. I'm sure y'all want to, like, go get something to eat, probably use the bathroom and all that kind of stuff. So I think I'm going to call it here. Thank you so much for being on the show. Chat, please give these incredible creators some claps. Make sure to go and follow them. Let me put their links in the chat right here. There you go. Please follow Celina, follow Will, follow Duke. Just to outro out everybody, I'm gonna ask y'all one at a time. Tell everybody what you do on Twitch, where they could find you, how they could follow you. Celina, go first.
Twitch.tv/Celina. On YouTube, I am Hi Celina or Celina VODs. Pretty much on every platform other than Twitch, it's Hi Celina. And I love bringing people together. I love streaming so much. I love community engagement. You'll mostly find me playing games, but I've also done things like hiking, cooking, crafting, ridiculous Dr. Pepper streams. You got to tune in to find out. And yeah, thank you so much, Ash, for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. When's the next time you go on live?
What day is it? Sunday? Tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah, more Bloodborne. Yeah.
Yes.
Whoa.
Playthrough.
Oh,
Bloodborne.
exciting.
My character is bald.
Okay.
It's
Will,
very good. Yeah.
tell us.
I'm Will_Shand on Twitch. I make a mess on this website. And feel free to stop by and call me out for not taking my own advice on this stream. That's probably going to happen. Yeah, I'll be playing some weird, like some strange and scary indie games on Monday. I'll be back then, so I hope to see you there.
Awesome.
And thanks, Ash, as well. It's been awesome
Oh,
hanging out here.
My pleasure. Duke, let them know.
Twitch.tv/Duke Donuts and also YouTube.com/Duke Donuts. I think I explained my methodology, right? Like I'm just here to make myself go. That's it, right? If you like those moments, that's what I'm going to be doing. Retro games mostly, sometimes newer games. I actually played Bloodborne yesterday. I've been playing the
Nice.
1.0 patch.
It's so
And,
fun.
like, it's really funny to see like some of the weird exploits and oddities that you get playing the game right off the disc. But I'll be oh good lord, I'm gonna be streaming every day until next Thursday, not this coming Thursday, but the following Thursday.
Wow.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday on Twitch, Wednesday, Thursday on YouTube, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday on Twitch, and then Wednesday on YouTube, and then finally a day off. But
Oh man.
I'll be
Do
doing
we
a lot of
ever
stuff.
re-
But I think next is
yeah.
Persona.
Do we ever really?
Persona
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
do we ever
And
really
when I say
have
day
any-
off, I mean working on backhouse stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, everyone, my name is Ash Said Hi. You can find me
And
here
yeah,
on
thank you, Ash.
twitch.tv/Ash Said Hi. My pleasure. My pleasure. And I will be live again tomorrow, I think, playing some Morrowind, even though I already beat the game. I just can't let it go.
Morrowind Monday.
Love it.
Morrowind
Yeah.
Monday. Morrowind Monday. I'm gonna find a nice person to raid on Twitch. If anybody has any suggestions, let me know in the Discord if you want to. But I just want to say a humongous shout out to all of my incredible masterclass guests here. Like, I hope y'all took notes and go and check these people out and go and hang out with them. So I think I don't see any suggestions in the Discord, but I think I'm gonna raid Hecky May.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I'm
Hecky
trying to think
May!
of someone with like fun alerts, so you
Yes,
guys can
Hecky.
very
Oh my
on
God.
brand.
I get
Yes.
someone new.
Yeah,
Hecky
she's great.
May. Let's raid Hecky May. Thank you so much, everybody. Y'all are the
you.
best in the whole world.
Thank you
and
so much, Ash, for putting this all together.
Yeah, I
pleasure.
look forward to the series. It's great. I
Yeah,
look
I
forward to
think
learning a lot.
Next month, I think I'm gonna do collaboration. That's gonna be the topic we're
Ooh.
gonna take over. Collaboration.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
I
yeah.
could learn about.
Oh boy.
All right, everyone.
Cool.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I'll see y'all later.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.